For September the 30th, 2022, we talk about Dome Keeper, Trombone Champ, Timberborn, and much more. Welcome to Level 430. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Maysmith.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. I want to direct people listening. I know this is self-serving, but just this past Saturday, our new show that Gary and I are doing about Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, the show is called Best Quality Vacuum. Our first episode, episode 0, is out, and you can get it wherever you get podcasts, most likely. And we want you to listen to it. But also, these early weeks are the most impactful time for ratings and reviews. So, I'm kind of asking you to take it on faith if the show's going to be good. You can listen to the first episode and decide if you think that. I'm not going to twist your arm or anything. But if you go and leave a rating or review, that does really make a difference. So it's bestqualityvacuum.net.
Sweet. And you guys are completely fresh to the series. You're doing the show one episode at a time as you watch it all for the first time, right?
I have never, I don't even know why this person is deciding to break some bad. So we're going to figure this out. Mm-hmm. No, we are both breaking bad heads is what we are. So yeah. I'm gonna get out of the spotlight here and throw now. Just ask randomly here, Ben. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I went to Vancouver over the weekend. They just reopened the train between Seattle and Vancouver, so that was a semi-fun experience. Hour and a half delay coming back, so that part wasn't as fun, but it's cool. I got to see a friend up in Vancouver, and that is a lovely, lovely place.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Very cool. And I understand you have a time limitation tonight, so
yes.
Just so people are not taken off guard when you're just gone.
I will mysteriously vanish at some point in the episode.
We're starting a new format where we vote off the weakest link at intervals.
No, I don't want to do that.
It's a podcast for people who loves video games and murder mysteries.
And then there was Player One.
No, I liked it. It was good. It was good, actually. David, how about you? What's going on?
Not really a whole heck of a lot. Saw Jupiter last night. Did any of you guys do that?
No, I didn't. It was too cloudy.
Okay, well, so basically, I guess it's closer than it's been in a couple decades, and here at least it wasn't cloudy. So it was pretty cool. But the neat thing is, I'd gotten some binoculars for vacation, and they're not like super powerful or anything. They're just like 10 times zoom. Yeah. But that's still enough to be able to see Jupiter's moons.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. So they basically look like just little tiny pinpricks of light around Jupiter.
Huh.
But you can see, up to 4 of them. Apparently, my neighbor was, out there with me, and she looked up. Apparently, Jupiter has a total of 80 moons, but only 4 of them are visible with the naked eye.
80?
That's entirely too many moons.
How do they not hit each other?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jupiter's pretty huge, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's at least as big as Earth.
Yeah. I want to say, some of the moons are actually, I want to say one of them is bigger in volume than Mercury.
Okay.
So...
Fun astronomy fact: Jupiter's so big that takes the attention of a bunch of asteroids and comets that come in the solar system, and so it kind of protects us.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
it's like our cool big brother.
Wow.
Yeah, it rolled a tank class.
Can you imagine though living on Jupiter and opening up your preferred news site every day to see like supermoon tonight? Oh my God, just make it stop.
The moons are too powerful. There's another one. No, wow. You know what? Like, I guess in my head it had 7 moons, but I'm thinking of Saturn, and that might even be outdated because I'm referring to information from when I was in 3rd grade in 1996.
From
is what
when
I'm
Pluto
doing.
was a planet.
Yeah. 57 or so, 80 moons, 57 of them have names. Another 23 are waiting for official names.
Right, which I think means if we name them first, that should count.
Right. There's waiting there for us. We can get sponsorship opportunities. I got $1 million and Jupiter has a moon called Fritos. Oh my God. Neat. Well, that was a cool thing you got to do.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. That's basically all I've done.
Dennis, how about you?
Man, nothing so cool. My Jupiter awareness is not where it should be. So just your general hanging out. Yeah. Let's say we're back in like prime campfire time of year.
Yeah.
So that's always nice. Been doing a lot of campfires recently. And that's good. I've learned that it is like a ritual that I've been hanging out in several different groups that have been doing campfires, and literally every person in every group at one point or another goes, "Oh, I'm the one where the smoke just always follows me wherever I sit."
Yeah,
and I'm not above it. I did it too. I am guilty. But this year I've realized how universal that is. So we are all that one that the smoke follows.
Yeah,
I mean, smoke hates humanity. Confirmed.
Yeah, no, it's usually every campfire has the person who says, "Oh, the smoke loves to follow me," and there's also another person who says, "Oh, the mosquitoes just love me tonight." It seems like there's always the one person that mosquitoes go to, and there's almost always like a folklore or faux scientific, let's say faux scientific instead of pseudoscientific explanation for the affinities.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you were evil in a past life, and the mosquitoes are the souls of all the people you wronged.
That's bleak. I've wronged some pretty good people. They don't deserve that.
And the smoke always follows the last person to have sacrificed a chicken.
Yeah, it's a real good way to be found out.
But yeah, campfires.
Nice. I don't have too much going on.
A new podcast. Come on,
dude, podcast. Yeah, no, I'm in the process of doing some maintenance and repairs on my guitars, so that's fun. Doing a lot of filing, a lot of sanding, oiling is pretty good. Resetting the action, checking intonation, stuff like that.
Is this something that you've done before? Or are you like learning it as you go?
I'm doing more this time. I've had a shitty red Stratocaster since high school. I paid somebody. I paid another student like $120 for the shitty Squier Stratocaster, and I've kept it for sentimental reasons. But I've got an Epiphone Les Paul. It's just a nicer and better shape and all of that. And I have now decided that I'm going to start doing modifications to the Stratocaster to make it nicer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I got some locking tuning pegs, and I'm shopping for new pickups and stuff. And I'm gonna try and re-solder and rewire the saddle as it goes. I think the cables inside, because everything crackles. I got a better jack. Gonna turn it into a Frankenstrat.
Frankenstrat.
No, that's a thing.
It.
Yeah, it's a.
I like it.
Yeah. So that stuff's going to be coming in the mail here pretty soon. Not the pickups, that'll be later. But
this is subconsciously you are preparing, since you're going to have less outdoor yard work to do over the winter. This will take its place.
Yeah, and this is a workshop task that doesn't require being out in the garage very much,
I was thinking you were subconsciously like thinking of a better guitar game that'll come out in the future and be like, one day I'll be able to connect this to that.
I praised Rocksmith 2014 a lot last week. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, last week, didn't we just all agree that genre is dead?
I don't know that we agreed. I think I just said that the new thing was not very good, and
frozen in time at its pinnacle in 2014.
Yeah, so that is fun though, doing those repairs, and it'll be the first time that I've set up a base. I just got the bass from the music store, and it was in good shape, and so I'm just now noticing the intonation getting off. So, yeah. All that is good, but that's what's going on over here. I think we got to get into the regular kind of show, what with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with
the grind?
The grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the last period of time or so. Ben, since you're going to be going away, I want to avoid you running into a time limit here, and I'm going to get you in first.
Yeah. I just got 2 this week. So yeah, I'll talk about this. I continued playing Timberborn, which I talked about last week.
Hell yeah.
Which is the beaver strategy game.
Totally accurate beaver simulation.
a new tabs.
Please, Beaver Punk. Really is aesthetic.
Yeah, we could call it Beaver Punk. I scaled it down to easy this time, so I could actually learn how the game works without worrying about dying and stuff. I progressed a decent amount. I don't know if I definitely haven't unlocked everything, but I definitely got to the point where I was self-sufficient, and I had gotten to the next level of tech, which is steel. There's some kind of ransacked buildings around the map that are. It kind of looks like Horizon Zero Dawn. It's just skyscraper skeletons essentially. But you can post up. You can have beavers take steel from there, and then it just comes as a raw ore, of course, and you have to refine it into steel beams, and then you can make other structures out of that. So I was able to do that. One of the developments is when you start to do these specialities. The pathing matters in the game. So beavers are less likely to do tasks if they're farther away. And it shows you that on a green-red scale. And eventually if something's so far away, they just will not go and do it. And so what you have to do is set up a new town. And there's kind of new mechanics with that. There's basically import-export buildings you can build so that you can set up a new town and be okay, well, this town doesn't have any water or food. That's okay. They'll just request that from another town, and you can set up an export at your first home base. And that way everybody has food and water and stuff, or at least ideally that's how it should be.
That's the most American urban planning ever. Hey, instead of building some public transportation, we could just build a new town.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. One of the difficulties, though, is something that kind of happens naturally is you'll build houses all in one go. That's where the beavers are housed. They're happier if you do that, and then that unlocks other things. But what happens is you'll build more than you need because it's okay, if I'm building a couple of houses, might as well build 6 and get it all out of the way. But then a problem with this is your population starts scaling without you necessarily realizing it, and so you start losing food and water, or you might not be producing enough food and water to meet demand. So you're slowly losing from your stockpile, and you might not realize this. And then eventually you're oh shit, I have no food or I have no water. All right, we need to dramatically change priorities here. So that starts to happen too, especially when you get into 2 towns, because now you're juggling demands in both places. Mm-hmm. So that gets a little bit chaotic. But basically where I came down on it is I just made both towns self-sufficient with respect to resources they need, food and water, and then they can specialize in other things. This one makes paper and this one makes steel and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. What you're describing is a system that is common to the A-ness series. Setting up those specialized economies and the trade, the trade between them. And in similar games to this, like the survival colony sim kind of things, like that happens in End Zone: A World Apart, which is the post-nuclear war version of this.
There's a few kinks I haven't been able to work out where, like, when you request materials, they basically will just give you as many until your storehouse is full, and that doesn't seem great.
No,
because like storehouses have like you can put like a limit on it, like, hey, I only want 10 of this resource or whatever. But it'll sometimes go over. Like basically, if there's room, and I guess I don't know, there's a bunch of steel and beavers are mining steel, they just got to put it somewhere. So you eventually get like, oh, I only want 10 steel in this building, but I have 800. So it's like, all right, well, whatever.
Oh, no.
So there's just some weird kinks like that I haven't ironed out yet. But
sounds like a bug.
I don't think so. It's just like it's like your preferred amount. And so
okay.
I love the mentality of these workers that they will fill a building with steel that was not requested, but if something is 10 feet too far away, they're like, nah, I can't do that.
It's like my family with leftovers.
But yeah, I might go back and play this game a little bit more, but I think for now I'm probably going to wait until it comes out of early access. So there's more of like a defined game. Because it's kind of at the point where it's like you can play with it as much as you want, but there's not really a big goal to go after. So, but yeah, it's still somewhat enjoyable. I think there's definitely potential there. But
have they communicated a kind of idea of when it might leave early access and be considered 1.0?
No, they've only made, I think they've made 2 updates so far. I haven't like gone in and looked at like what their roadmap is. Usually I just sit and wait because it's like, oh, it'll eventually come out and eventually I'll notice and then I'll go back and play it then. So that's what I'm banking on, being ignorant.
Well, just let stuff sneak up on you. Pleasant surprise.
And the second game that I played is actually a new one. Is a game called Dome Keeper that just came out.
I was actually literally right before that looking at reviews of this. How is this?
Yeah, so I think this literally came out today. I saw it on Northern Lions channel, so that's why I picked it up.
Oh yeah.
It's like a combination of base defense and like crafting, like digging type simulator.
God damn it, Ben! Why are you bringing this poison to me?
I mean, all right. You're not going to be so addicted that it's going to take over your life or anything. But it is pretty interesting. So yeah, the way it works is like there's a above ground quote unquote dome that you're responsible with protecting, and there's waves of enemies that'll come at it. But then in between the waves, you have like maybe a minute or two of time to go try and find resources. And you do this by digging downward into the earth. And so it's in that sense, it's kind of like a mining game. You have the 3 main parameters, or you have like how effective your drill is, you have how fast you move, and then you have how fast you move when you're carrying items. And so the basic flow of the game is you go around and dig until you find gems, you carry them back to the dome, you grind them up for resources, and then you use that to upgrade to make any of those 3 things better. Or you can try and upgrade the base above and whatever weapon that has to make that better. Because as the waves continue on, you basically start to get outpaced in how effectively you can kill them. So you need to upgrade whatever your weapon is. So at the start of the game, it's just a laser, and it kind of has a simple control where it can go in 180 degrees. And so by pressing A or D or the right arrow or left arrow, you're rotating it about that 180 degrees. And so they come from the right or the left. So you typically have to like shift all the way around. So you upgrade it so that the laser's more effective, so you can rotate around more quickly, that sort of thing. And so it's an interesting balance of where you're devoting your resources to, because you can kind of easily fall into a trap where if you upgrade a little bit of everything, then everything's just kind of meh, and then you get killed. In addition to this, there's some things that you can find as you're digging, which are kind of like more these like relics that are a little bit more rare. And they'll take up like a 2x2 grid, and they're bigger, so they are heavier to take back to your base. But what they do is they give you a random piece of technology. And I think you can pick between 3 options. It's like 2 legitimate options, or you can just grind it up for resources. And so the options are something like an elevator that you can just drop the resource off in, and then a drone will come and pick it up and carry it up to where your dome is. Or an automated turret, like a stun turret that'll help you in combat that'll like stun other people. And I think there's only capacity for like maybe 3 in your base, something like that. And then the base game, the meta goal is there's something buried somewhat deep in the map that if you can dig it up and bring it to the top of the base, then you win. So you're searching for a relic.
Nice.
However, everything's like it is kind of like a roguelike in the sense that everything's unlockable in the meta term. So you can unlock a different type of engineer. You can unlock different types of bases, both base offensive weapon and whatever your base defense is as well. So there's kind of like it seems like there's a lot of room for it to open up, and like you can try a lot of interesting combinations with it. But the nice thing about it is you can choose, like, after you've played a few times, you can choose, like, settings on it. So you can do a small, medium, a large map. So you can, like, the large map apparently lasts, like, multiple hours if you want to play it. The small map, I think, is more of, like, a 20, 30-minute type game. So it's nice that it has that flexibility and, like, time commitment as well. So far it's good. It just came out today, so I've only played it a little bit. But I'm able to unlock a few different things and try some of the different weapons. So it seems cool. I'll probably keep playing this into next week. So I'll probably have more to say about it next week as well.
That sounds like a really fun loop.
Yeah.
It's a pretty game too. I mean, it's pixel art, but the coloring, the color choices here, and gotta love those alien vistas.
Yeah, and they change it up too. There's variances in the map, so you have different enemies that you're fighting in different backgrounds and environments. So
this looks rad.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's pretty solid.
And it's interesting. So this is not like a Uber early access release. This seems like a very finished product.
Yeah, it is. It is released. So
nice.
That's cool. Was it in early access? Is this?
I don't know.
I've never heard of this before
and played it today. So
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's not how you do games anymore. You do early access releases of games that are barely started, and very cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So one question I had while I was looking at reviews of this is there permanent progression?
Yeah, well, in terms of like unlocking different options, in terms of like you don't permanently upgrade your like laser or something like that. So no, you do start off in the same, like if you play the same configuration both times, you start off in the same place, run over.
Okay, and the things you unlock aren't necessarily upgrades.
No, you could. It's you. If you beat a game, you unlock basically new options of what you can play. So it could be like what I was talking about with bringing relics, something that gives you a random building. You could unlock new building options, like that sort of thing. There could possibly be there's like a different game mode that I had an option of unlocking, but I didn't. I unlocked something else that was like it was like a survival mode where you just try and get as many resources as you can. But to my knowledge, there's not one that's like a roguelike in that sense where there's progression over the actual like gun and like defense and stuff. Yeah. There's nothing like that. So. But perhaps that makes it easier to balance, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have any reference for what the Pioneer Pack is?
I do not know what the Pioneer Pack is. Are you like actively buying this right now, Dennis?
Well, usually when we talk about it, so behind the scenes, when we talk about a game, usually the first thing I do is just pull up the Steam page.
Yeah, same.
Gotcha.
And
it's like an upgraded suit, and you get a little owl friend, like a little
pay to win, pay to owl.
Yeah, pay to owl. But however, it's only $2. So I think
No, this looks rad.
Yeah. Nice.
That's all I got.
Cool. While we're in kind of a patch of new stuff here, I will bring one in. David, earlier you said, these rhythm games, there's nowhere for them to go.
They're a dying breed. In 10 years, you'll never see one. Certainly, you're not about to say that you played one.
Well, you've got to break into bold new territory, new instruments, new kinds of music, trombone music.
No. I am totally here for this. Go on.
I'm going to talk about a game called Trombone Champion. This is a game that sells itself very well in small Twitter videos, and I have to say, I'm there for the goofiness of it. But also, it's kind of a really fun rhythm game. So the thing that is intimidated me about trombones, and to a large degree, kind of any brass instrument, is there's kind of no definite pitch. Let's say, you're sliding, and you just kind of have to know how far G is.
You have to find the G spot, huh?
Yeah, and you don't just have to reach that spot on the slide. You have to consistently know it, and also blow your lips right. Because that can.
Wow, none of this is getting less.
I swear that I'm not doing it intentionally. It's just, but no, just you get your embouchure right.
That's right. Trombones have that effect on people.
What instruments did everybody play here in band? I played tenor sax.
Saxophone, predominantly alto, some tenor.
Okay.
Snare drum.
Okay.
Snare drum. I was like a harmonica and piano.
Gotcha. Okay, so percussion. Yeah. No, okay, so I just wanted to say that. It's the same thing weirds me out about people who can play a fretless upright bass. It's like, how do you know? How do you know where to pinch, right? Mm-hmm. So Trombone Champion, you can get this in video, but you've got two inputs. You move the mouse up and down to mimic placing the slide, and then for the rhythm, you just press any key on the keyboard to blow, to actively play, to make a note. And there's no, I'll use like a computer, like an electronic music term here. There's no quantization. Okay. So it doesn't just there's no snap or gravity to an actual tone, like, A flat or whatever, because you need to be able to slide, because it needs to be authentic to the trombone experience. Okay,
they don't want to sacrifice on realism in this game.
You really don't. And to go along with that, so the notes are proceeding from right to left along the screen, showing you roughly how high or low each of these are, and keeping the rhythm is hard enough itself. As you're playing the tune along to mostly like classical music or folk songs or traditionals. Take Me Out to the Ball Game is the one I'm doing the best on. Can't Quite Break, Camptown Races. It's fucking infuriating. I don't even know if Camptown Races is on there, but that's the kind of stuff, right? As you're playing and making some of the worst sounds God has ever allowed on this green earth. What's happening is you have a little me-like avatar that is at the right of the screen, playing along like that is you. And as you slide out for a low note, just he wildly gesticulates upward. And if you pull in for a high note, it gives you down there, and you're just flopping around up and down and left and right or whatever. Of
course you are.
We're not doing phrasing anymore, but in the background they have these extremely fun animations. It's like almost like a Terry Gilliam,
like WarioWare.
Yeah, it's like WarioWare meets the guy who did the animated segments for the Monty Python, directed Brazil.
Yeah, Terry Gilliam.
Yeah, Terry Gilliam. Yeah, just kind of animation like that. Just kind of clip art, classical stuff, very limited animation, but incredibly bombastic. Like it just the entire game is a shitpost. And it's really lovingly made. And so you're playing along, trying to kind of like paint along the lines, as you go, and that's how it scores you. But you're really not playing this for points. You're playing it, for giggling. You're
For
playing
love of trombone, of course.
Yeah, for the love
I mean, what else?
The love of the bone.
Yep. So you're playing it for the love of the bone until you're kind of getting into the points, and you're like, oh, like I can actually be kind of good at this. I just need to get like the sensitivity right and practice, and then suddenly you're not making God's worst noises. It's just like a fun, goofy rhythm game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like almost like something that would like have been like included as part of like, I don't know, Wii Music. Like that was a terrible game and a terrible product, but like this feels like that was supposed to make me feel. And it became something a little bit more than just like, oh, there are funny videos of this, and it's, you know, like a fun, you know, a fun little distraction to play. And I love rhythm games because, you know, with a few exceptions, any given song is only going to be like 3 to 5 minutes. So like you can sit down and bust out three or four of these things and like not lose your day and go on with something else. So this is a fun little snack, and like it is actually possible to like get better at it. Not great, like nobody would ever want to listen to this, but you do end up kind of improving and kind of engaging a little bit with like what is fun about this goofy instrument. At this point I would like to, you know, defer to questions, but like I can't say, like I'm surprised that it's difficult to say, but I'm surprised that this went beyond just being a fun little meme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. I really want like the end game content for this to be Trombone Shorty and stuff of that ilk.
Trombone Shorty, what?
Trombone Shorty is a band that is really good. That prominently features, you guessed it, trombone.
Huh. Okay.
You guessed it, the piano.
I gotcha. So not everything is classical or traditional. There are some, like, for lack of a better word, like style parodies. There's and there are fun descriptions that accompany a bunch of these, but there's like a fake ska song, right? And they're like, we don't really like ska, but people said we should have ska, so here's our attempt at it, you know?
Here's your ska, you filthy animal.
Yeah, stuff like that. Which
you rap
is
ska yen.
not going to be a title.
What what's the? I think it's an AJR song. Burn the whole house down. Yeah, I want to play that.
Is there a pick it up in the ska song?
I didn't play it, so I don't know.
Oh, what? How could you resist?
I was playing other stuff. I had to be Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Wow.
Fundamentals, guys. Fundamentals.
You had to, honestly, so it God, the difficulty screen is hilarious on this too, because each song is graded on like 4 or 5 axes. So you see that little spider web graph, and like they have fun words for it, like it's, you know, like how many doots there are, how much, yeah.
Wamplitude.
Like yeah. Let me see if I can find a screenshot of the that gives the different axes, because this is important.
While you're looking that up, I did want to make a comment. When you were saying that you played a new innovative rhythm game, it was 50-50 between that one and there's a game called Metal Hellsinger that just came out. I don't know if you guys heard of this.
That looks pretty great.
We're going to talk about this later.
All
yes,
right, then I will shut my mouth.
You need to shut. Yeah,
no,
you
but shut your mouth.
that was another recent one to come out. Honestly, it could go either way. I need to play the demo to actually see. $30 out the door is a little much for me right away.
If you have Game Pass,
it's on there.
It is. Yep, it's on Game Pass.
God, we need the video game version of JustWatch.com so I can just like see which of these services these games are on, so I don't end up buying things when I do not have to, because I'm already paying for them elsewhere.
Yeah.
Sort of like we need an app to show us what games we actually already own, but have forgotten about it.
Yeah. Let's see here. So the axes are Tears, Spunk, Doots, Slides, and Fury.
Fury.
I have no idea what those correspond to. What's Tears? Why Tears?
Wait, is it like TEARS or TIERS?
I'm gonna download the image because the one that I'm looking at is very small. Save image to downloads. Again, this is very important. But the ska one ended up being a little bit. It had an intimidating, tears. So I don't know what that is.
That's
you can
how many tears you're going to shed while playing it.
Yeah, I don't know what the difference between Doots and Fury is. Fury and Spunk, like Pep, like kind of seem to coincide with like tempo or something. Slides is self-evident. Maybe Doots is like how many fast notes there are.
I was going to go Doots is number of notes and Fury is how fast the notes are.
Oh, maybe. Huh. Yeah, that's possible. This game is a riddle.
I mean, it's good that someone took the time to count all that. You could say they did their due diligence.
Yeah, they did.
I feel like we're putting more thought into this menu than the people who made the game did.
They've got a really thoughtfully written explanation of how stuff in the game works, like just in the help, in controls part. But I don't remember seeing the difficulty axes enumerated. Yeah, but it's neat. I was pleasantly surprised by this. Probably not going to pick up a trombone. Probably not going to make me pick up a trombone like guitar made me want a guitar. But I respect. I respect that as part of the the brass and rhythm section. Nice. I don't really have other stuff, like not things that I have played for an appreciable amount of time. I did like 2 hours of Metal Gear Survive, but then I got my COVID vaccine and my flu vaccine at the same time on Friday, and I was sick the entire weekend. Yeah.
Wow, that's a pretty far way to go to get out of playing Metal Gear Survive.
I didn't have a terrible time with it, honestly. I wished it. I was told it would be less talky, and the first 2 hours were talky. Which is a bit of a bummer. And I also played like the first little bit of Return to Monkey Island, but I need to solve more puzzles before I get like a qualitative sense on it, other than just like, it's charming. It's nice to play another Monkey Island game. Ron Gilbert makes very good adventure games. Like those are all things you could probably guess, I would say. Most of my time last week went to, so we've got the, bonus level about Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations coming out. So Jal and I recorded that over the weekend. So look out for that to drop sometime here in the next week or so, something like that. Yeah. But that took my non-assignment play time by being assignment play, but it was fun to go back. The last trial in that game was a banger. Nice. Which of you wants to go, Dennis or David?
I have a big new game that I've played some of. Well, I guess not a new game, but a big newly accessible to me game that I've played some of.
Okay.
You can start there.
Yeah, go there.
Deathloop hit Game
Okay,
Pass.
that is the only game I am playing. So
the answer, Cole, is Porque no los dos.
Usually the answer is Porque no los dos. Proceed.
So first off, for how far we've gotten, I played until I hit the game crashing bug that I can't get past.
Oh no!
Which is surprising to have in a game of this triple A-ness, I guess.
What is the bug?
By the way, you just said triple A-ness.
I was just quietly writing it down.
Shut up, Beavis. All right.
Yeah. What's the bug you ran into so people can keep an eye out?
So in a certain area, there's a set of generators that you can turn on, and particularly one set of them is like further in than the others is more heavily trapped. And when you go to turn on that generator, the game just insta crashes to the home screen. Actually, not the home screen, but the like to desktop. Which is baffling to me. I'm guessing did this maybe just come to Xbox and this is something unique to the Xbox? Because for as big a game as this was, I can't imagine that it shipped with this in the original version.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the game up to that point unbelievably, is an Arcane game that I'm really digging.
That's right. Why were you so excited about this when you hate Dishonored?
I wasn't. I only played it because it was
basically
free.
if Dishonored was a good game.
That's honestly,
I'm on a podcast with 3 space aliens.
Honestly, what I think it is it's Dishonored that dropped the idiotic moral choice stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
And also realized that like stealth was kind of lame.
Yeah, so it has been a long time since I've put time into Dishonored. Did they ever give you an arsenal that was like truly automatic weapons?
No,
or was it always just kind of like the whale punk pistol?
Yeah, whale punk pistol kind of stuff. Like I think there were possibly, but which is probably and possibly, there were turrets that might have been auto fire. But yeah, this is Dishonored with guns.
Yeah, and I think that goes a long way to actually delivering on the Arcane promise of you can play this game any way you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Dishonored, was a bit more like, hey, you can play this any way you want, but unless you're doing sneaky stealthy, you're doing it wrong.
I don't know. I think that y'all were a little bit too. You were a little bit too confined to Earth human morality, because that game got really fun when you were using your powers and doing a high chaos run.
Well, I think that's the other thing is, so this is probably going to be my game of the year. Like this is one of the best games I've ever played.
Cool.
And I think one of it is just the degree to which. One of my favorite themes in games that very few games actually explore is amorality. And that's basically what this game is all about.
Yeah. Well, because nobody dies for real. It's, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So for anyone who hasn't heard of it before, which I can't imagine as many people, but, you are kind of the sole person looking to break out of a time loop that's been established. So that all the people in it can kind of have endless hedonistic partying and or researching the anomaly that is allowing them to have this time loop. You are the one person who is setting out to break the loop, although you can't really remember why. And hilarity ensues. And
nobody but you and one other person who is kind of your voice in the ear / the Dark Souls invader remembers things from loop to loop.
There is one other person, quote unquote.
Oh, I've hit that point, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the premise, and I think that also allows you to mess up, in a way that feels more diegetic than it ever did in Dishonored.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you could go high chaos and have things blow up and just shoot everyone in Dishonored, but they kind of messed with the overall fantasy of your character. It just always felt antithetical to how things should play. And again, that's my experience.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not gonna invalidate your experience, but like nobody's watching you handing out good boy points.
Yeah.
Except for the game, which literally does that, which ruins the entire game.
The fates that you subject people to in the nonviolent runs of that are way worse than just dying. So I think that there's that. We don't need to argue about Dishonored. I'm sorry,
but yeah. So and with that, they kind of do a. So Polygon had a really great article. Discussing the idea that like the Hitman games, if they weren't arguing that the Hitman games were fundamentally slapstick comedy, that they had to be because otherwise they would just be incredibly bleak. And this sort of has a similar thing where if it wasn't for the fact that no one actually dies, more or less, a lot of this stuff would just be super dark. Yeah. Like, there's a fairly early chance or early area where basically someone has set up a like carnival ride event thing that is just like, hey, come here and jump off a cliff to your death.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
And like the people are cheering him on. They're like, do it. I want you to tell me what it's like to feel your spine break.
yeah. I
Just
mean,
like super dark, and you can very much kill people in a lot of very morbid ways. And yeah, I mean, it's just really good. Also, my favorite way of well, I guess I should say there's kind of a sort of a BioShock type angle to this, where they've also got some super science that gives you magical abilities.
yeah.
Yes.
And I think my favorite way of taking out a crowd is one of the abilities is you basically throw out an AoE that's invisible to everyone but you, but everyone that's hit by it, anything that happens to one of them happens to all of them.
Mhm.
And so I managed to time and hit that the moment before the person jumped.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so when
smart.
they hit the ground, just the entire crowd dies.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, that power. So all the powers that you get from the slabs in the game, those are pulled from both Dishonored games, their expansions, because they don't just have DLC, and Prey. Like, there's a lot of stuff that was kind of featured heavily in Prey that is brought over here. And mentioning Prey makes me realize, oh, you guys are talking about like, oh, it's a Dishonored game that has guns and stuff. Yeah, no, Prey's that too. More people should play Prey.
Yeah, I've
Okay,
heard
yeah.
that's very good.
Put
Yeah.
that next on my list. Yeah.
And it's free. Like it's on Game Pass because of Bethesda.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing that's kind of interesting is it really doubles down on all of the bad guys are just incredibly horrible people.
Oh god.
In many diverse and interesting ways.
Yeah, they really play with that. And those are the visionaries who are kind of at the head of this whole thing. And the myriad ways in which they make them assholes is very intriguing so far.
They do a lot to effectively play with the space of what kind of people would be attracted to the situation.
Yes, yeah, that's a good way to say it. And you got to kill all 8 of them in one day to break the loop. There's 4 time periods in a day, so you're going to have to, by definition, knock off more than one of them in an area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and kind of hurting them or shepherding things so that they happen to put them together in the right sequence is kind of the meta progression of the game.
Yes.
Well, and that's, I'd say, one of the big things that I feel like not necessarily differentiates it from other time loop games in terms of like, oh, this is the only game that's done this or something, but in terms of, there being a couple of different ways to kind of formulate this sort of experience. This is very much not the sort of time loop game that's all about like, oh, I take the batteries out of his clock so that he oversleeps, and then because of that he misses his train, and then doesn't get into an auto accident. Like, it's not that sort of kind of butterfly effect type thing. It's much more based around, knowing things.
Well, and it's kind of a detective game too. Like there's one specific way. There's like one specific series of events that you do to get everybody set up. Because of the way time and space works, there are 4 areas, 4 different time kind of time zones that you that you go to. So like you are kind of following a series of clues to figure out what those ought to be, so exactly what to do on the final day.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know. To your point, David and Kole, maybe you can illuminate this. I'm too early to know if there is specifically only one way to end the loop, or if it's like, okay, well, there's a couple combinations that could get you there, which would be a very interesting way to do different endings.
there might be a like some different ways to kill the people who don't need to be killed by a thing that you set up. Just like, okay, do I kill them in the basement or kill them up in the kill them up on the rooftop, etc. But no, there's only one way it can go. Those people need to be killed at those times in those places.
Nice.
Which I think I'm okay with, because it's like the idea is the concession they made is like, okay, we're going to have these discrete areas. It's not going to be continuously like interactive with one another. But, but that's fine. Like, it's still a highly interactive game.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I was a little bit more disappointed that it was like a quest log that got you all the different pieces.
So for me, I think the like Galaxy Brain approach to that is just never track any objectives. Because honestly, what I've found is because of that, it then becomes basically it then takes out the annoying part of like needing to memorize all the minutia of like, what was this safe combination and stuff like that. And that's the primary thing. And I'd say the other thing that is a little bit, I guess you could say, handholdy or spoilery, but I think to me mainly just cuts down the annoyance is it just telling you, like there's certain things where you can't do an objective just because of, some specific happenstance, there's an item you might want to steal, and one of the characters in at a certain time of day basically takes it somewhere else, and so it just saves you from like going to all the trouble of getting there only to find out it's not there. So I found personally, if you don't track the objectives so that it doesn't actually give you waypoints, then it's basically just saves me some writing in a notebook.
So you are not going to be able to complete the game if you do not do the objectives while it's tracked, because some of the deductions that Colt makes end up being made only when you cross a couple of different dot a couple of different I's and cross a couple of different T's, and that is handled through the leads system, the objective tracking. So you may be screwing yourself.
Well, does it? I mean, it might also be ticking off the quest steps, even if you don't have that quest highlighted in the background.
It's not. Yeah,
it's still like advances and says like, oh, you completed this step. Here's the next thing you wanted to do. The only thing it doesn't do is show you like, here is exactly in the level where you need to go.
Yeah. I remember doing stuff not tracked ended up making it so you had to go and do it again. That may have been changed or patched since I played it last year. I'm not saying that to say like, oh, that's a bad way to play. I get what you're saying. That makes sense.
So
like for your sake, it may also be possible just to go in. There are a ton of options in the game. It might just be possible to go in and turn off waypoint tracking as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that.
Yeah.
Hey, they added in a game-breaking glitch, so they hopefully at least put in some good stuff too.
So the one feature I'm not completely sold on is the invasion mechanic.
Oh, I'm going to be on the opposite side of you then. I was waiting for my chance to talk about how much I like this.
So I think from a story standpoint, it's great. From a tone and story and stuff like that. I think my issue with it is one that runs through the game. Well, the fact that like so much of the game is about setting up very specific circumstances, and you can then have an invasion that just like makes it impossible to do that.
That is a real problem if you are, you just spent a long time setting up something in the morning or the early morning or whatever, and suddenly you're at noon and you get killed, and you have to go do the opening again.
Right, and that's the other thing is the fact that it then can do that, because like, I don't know, this could just be me. Most of my runs through a day probably take like between 4 to 8 hours of game time.
Whoa.
You're slow playing it.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you skip ever? Do you like? I'm going to do the first time a day, and then I'm going to skip to the fourth time a day just to do this one thing.
I've started doing that a little bit, but I find that when I do that, I then run into not having enough of the residium to save the things I accomplished.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I usually like clear most of the levels.
Oh wow! Okay,
Yeah, that's not
explains a lot.
usually the way. Yeah, you're just having fun existing in the space.
Yeah. I'm causing much shenanigans, but
so not just having fun existing in the space.
Oh yes, yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Existing in the space and allowing no other NPCs to exist in the space.
Right, exactly. No, I like it in theory. I've just had too many times when it's messed up, especially because there's a number of areas where if you want to do a stealth approach, it's pass-fail. You know, once you get detected once, you're then locked out of a stealth approach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think my experience with it was very positive. I think for me, the areas, especially like the earlier in the day, become trivial pretty quickly. Like you kind of learn an area, and especially once you start, having a inventory of good weapons and good abilities, good slabs, if you will. Like it becomes really easy to get through an area perfectly without screwing anything up, without alerting anyone, just because you've memorized it. It's Groundhog Day in that way. However, the invasions throw a wrinkle into that, and it doesn't feel unfair because first off, it's a 3-on-1 kind of deal. They have to kill you 3 times because of your base slab that gives you extra lives, whereas you only need to kill them once to survive, and so that kind of balances things in your favor. And then if someone is hunting you, you get a big notification the second you jump into the area. And that, at least for me, gave me time to always kind of carve out a place where I wanted the battle to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, I'm here. I will kill these 6 people before they get to me, and set up this turret. And then I'm ready to kind of make my stand. And as long as I can keep the battle contained to this area, I don't really have to worry too much about triggering alarms, etc. Because in the arcane style, these are the dumbest, most nearsighted, and inattentive guards you have ever seen.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got 2 things. One, Ben, do you need to go? It is 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock where you're at.
Yeah, I was going to drop. I don't know if we needed to pause recording or not.
Yeah, I wanted to give you a moment just in case you were waiting to cut in.
My titles were possibly and triple A-ness.
Okay, possibly. There we go. Okay, so we sent Ben away. My second thing there was I do appreciate the additional chaos, but one thing that is potentially saves you a bunch of time and is really empowering is killing the invader will often sometimes get you upgraded versions of the slabs, which stop needing to go after the targets again. Can be like a fast way to just accidentally stumble on something that completely breaks the curve. So I'm thinking of like the second or third level displace or whatever it is, where you're doing the blink stuff, or the the linking of fates one is another big one there. Yeah.
Nothing feels better than when you are kind of doing a day specifically trying to get a slab, and then Juliana, the invader, brings it to you in the first area.
Yep.
You go, thank you. I've got the rest of the day now.
So the one problem I've had is it seems like, as far as I can tell, Juliana, her loadout, varies. I'm assuming part of it is because at least sometimes it's players controlling her.
Yeah.
And more often than not, or I think literally every time I've been able to at least see a gamer tag that she is attributed to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But I've found that the difficulty and the, I would say, perceived unfairness of the fight can vary dramatically. I don't know quite what happened, but like I had one thing where I unloaded like 5 or 6 close range shotgun blasts into her and then still got killed. Similarly, I had one where I just got like triple thrown by the Carnesis ability, so was literally thrown completely off the map. So I do think it varies a little bit based on what version of Juliana you're fighting.
Oh yeah, and then that's the chaos element to it. Yeah.
So I have to say though, the chemistry between her and Kole is amazing.
Oh yeah, the back and forth is very entertaining.
Yeah, they do that very well, and that's almost kind of the fun of going into a new area or starting a new day is just getting the new dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
I never feel too bad about getting ganked or messing something up because I know that there is something hilarious waiting for me on the other side.
Yeah, I really like Cole's characterization. He's just kind of halfway between like smart talking, kind of action hero, and halfway between just like dumb dad jokes.
Mm-hmm. It's great. Yeah. I like a bunch of stuff about the presentation of the game.
Actually reminds me, I need to look who voices Kole.
I don't remember it being anybody I recognize from other stuff, but no, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind hearing him again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jason E. Kelly.
Okay.
Also, amazing fashion sense.
Yes. Yeah. I love the masks that the regular folks wear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those just creepy painted one color masks that completely obscure their faces. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although it's funny you talk about how great the fashion sense is, to the point that the game is confident enough to make Juliana insulting your outfit specifically one of the things that she goes after.
Yeah, one of the reoccurring jokes.
Everybody hates your stupid jacket.
And that's one of the like justifications for why any of the enemies like the moment they see you start going after you, because everyone knows what you look like because you wear this kind of over-the-top leather jacket.
It's very loud. It's a loud jacket.
So I'm actually surprised that this sort of 70s sci-fi aesthetic isn't used more. The only other game I know of that uses it is, have you seen The Anacrusis?
So I feel like somebody recommended that I play that.
It's basically Left 4 Dead on a space cruise ship.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and it's the exact same kind of sci-fi type thing they're shouting out, although with the weapons being much more kind of ray gun gothic.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, this kind of like mid-century mod kind of feel to it.
Yeah,
that is another thing that this has in common with Prey. Play Prey; it's a good game.
Yeah, this is all just turning into an argument to play Prey, which I'm okay with. Yeah, it's it kind of recalls Fallout in some way. Mm-hmm. It's like, the Fallout aesthetic if Fallout didn't actually have a apocalypse.
Yeah, like retro future kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's also got got some of the similar sort of social commentary. I don't know, do they ever explicitly say when the game is set?
That is
I
a
haven't seen anything
complicated
yet.
question to answer. That
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to. Yeah, because there's definitely some weird things in terms of like, the aesthetic, the level of computing technology, some of that stuff, but also like some of the social norms.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
It is something that I trust to be intentional, not being on the other side where I can see
Yes. Yeah.
oh yeah.
how much it was so.
Where it's celebrating in it. Yeah.
But while we're praising the dialogue, I do have to diverge a bit and just say that makes it stand out that much more. That the barks from just the guards that you encounter get old really, really fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for like, I can see they even have more grace than usual because within a day you would expect things to repeat, or across days you would expect things to repeat. So like you've got that built in, but you hear the same version of the same line from so many different people's mouths within a run.
Yeah.
That just feels really off. And weirdly, it's very clear they had several of the lines where they just had a guy do it and a girl do it and then threw it in.
Yeah.
Unchanged, which is just, for a game that clearly has so much attention to detail and clearly has so much, it is capable when it comes to dialogue. I don't know why that piece feels so much more farmed out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, like I per what David said, incredible game. I was mad when I realized that this generator was going to break the game every time because I was enjoying playing it so much. So I'm kind of just waiting for the patch note, and then I'll go right back to it.
What's frustrating about that is like, okay, there are certain bugs like that can be patched out and then you just go beyond them. It's fine. So you can go do other stuff in a nonlinear game. Like I'm sure there are other vision areas that you haven't taken because that particular path is very difficult. Like I didn't do that until very near the end. But it's a game where you can do anything. But there are other bugs where it's like, okay, if your save is irretrievably broken if you got it, so you just kind of need to start over. So I can't say in good conscience like, oh, go and just go and do other stuff.
Yep. And that's kind of what stopped me. Not that I couldn't go elsewhere, but it was like, okay, well, this is egregious enough that I know it's going to get fixed fast.
Yes.
Go ahead, David.
Oh, I was looking at the IMDb for Jason Kelly, and he is the Doom Slayer from Doom Eternal.
Yes.
Okay, very
Which,
cool.
Grant, I don't think, does he ever speak?
He doesn't speak in Doom, but I believe he might get some lines in Doom Eternal.
Okay.
He does.
Also was Bohai in Horizon Forbidden West.
Haven't played Forbidden West.
Yeah. Huh.
Nice.
Yeah, David, I don't know. Did you have anything else to say about Deathloop?
No, I think that's all I've really got other than just, play it. It's really good.
I've also continued mainlining XCOM 2. It's a problem. But I have finally gotten a run to that tipping point where you kind of start feeling unstoppable. So,
okay.
Can't wait to come back humbled next week.
You're going to get cocky.
Yep. Oh, it always happens.
Why did Dennis scrawl Memento Mori on the basement wall? It's so I learn.
But I do love that about the game is that every time I fail or lose a soldier or lose a run, you really can just sit there and think and be like, okay, there was some risk I took where I had the inkling of like, I'm not prepared if this goes wrong. Or like, that you can always so clearly see the strings leading up to that failure and what you might pull differently next time. So I appreciate that. But that and Deathloop are the main things I've been playing.
Well, that sounds like a segment to me.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that you asked the nice people?
Yeah, I had DLC on the brain. So I asked about what expansion outshines its base game by the widest margin.
Yeah. And I'll get started here with Skylar, who says, God, this is hard, but for sheer importance, I have to go with Warcraft 3, The Frozen Throne. The story expansion was great fun. It wrapped up an epic story, and the epilogue served as a direct prototype to what would eventually become WoW. More importantly, though, the sheer number of options it added to Warcraft 3 in terms of custom maps and scripting for online play led to a huge explosion of experimental genres. We have Warcraft 3 to thank for Dota 2 and League of Legends, and a bunch of tower defense games, but even experimental evolutionary dead ends like Pudge Wars, Rabbits vs. Sheep, and Battleships were tons of fun back in the day.
Okay, now I'm Googling.
Outside of Half-Life, it's hard to think of a game whose mod framework led to so many other great ideas in gaming. Yeah,
I mean, it's amazing that there's a game that spawned Dota 2 and is so good that we still think of it as a great game.
You know what? I've never played that expansion. I never got it back when I had it on PC, and we didn't do it for WoW when we did Warcraft 3. So I just know it by its reputation.
I knew which game you were talking about, but I briefly entertained the notion that you guys would just do League of Legends or Dota for WoW, and I would actually be curious.
I mean, it
400-hour game just to get a feel for it.
Well, I mean, no, we would probably play 25 hours and thus be fucking excoriated for not putting in enough time to it. But like enough time would be playing it regularly since launch. Yes. You're not going to. We learned when we did Team Fortress 2, and people complained that we like the flavor and the story. Called us like idiots for enjoying that stuff. That. Primarily online games have audiences that cannot be pleased and therefore should not be touched.
Yeah,
I mean,
fair enough.
League of Legends is a game whose developer has literally done, academic level research on making their fan base less toxic, and their fan base is still famous for how toxic it is.
But think about how much worse it could be. I know people who work in that. I mean, people know this. Back when I was working in video marketing, one of our clients was Riot, and we did a couple of videos and made some assets for them, specifically about like how not to be a troll kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, their research division is no slump. Yeah, David, what does Callum say?
Callum says, Command & Conquer Generals, 0 hour. The introduction of the faction variant generals massively changed how that game played.
It is bizarre to learn of other people who played Command & Conquer Generals. Remember, David, did you throw in, or was that a me and Kyle thing?
Yeah, no, I was in on that. Yeah,
nice. Yeah, that was fun.
That was amazing.
Nice. Let's see, Dennis. What does Austin say?
He says, oh man, Mass Effect 3. All the DLCs added so much to the characters and are the best parts to revisit. Listening to your teammates have a genital measuring contest while under fire will never get old. What DLC was that? I've never played Mass Effect 3, but now I'm interested.
I think Leviathan. I never played Leviathan. The Citadel DLC was nice throwback content, to Mass Effect 1.
Now, is the contest a Paragon or a Renegade move? That's the question.
I think Paragon is if you measure from the underside. Renegade is if you measure from the top.
I mean, you never do see what Tally looks like under the suit. Just saying.
Yeah,
it's just one giant shaft.
You'd think she would be more confident. Let's see here. I'll pick up. Allison says what probably might amount to my response. The Hearts of Stone DLC for The Witcher 3 is far and away the best content in the game. So many great characters and moments rolled up in a perfectly sized bit of content. Yeah, Hearts of Stone is gobsmackingly good. Yeah. It like to the point where I wish that it didn't start with some of the hardest combat encounters in the game, because like I like, you can start with a character just like, hey, make me a character for the DLC, but it is still very difficult fights to get into the content itself. And I need to go and like, just, I don't know, read the TV tropes for that, because I can't afford to, time wise to play it again. But thanks for reminding me of that, Allison. David, what does Jeff say?
Jeff says, Dragon Age Inquisition was a base game that was alright and serviceable. The decent and sometimes good story sections were too paced out by MMO nonsense. The worst offense of all was that the story didn't even really end in base game. Luckily, they didn't make us wait until Dragon Age 4 to wrap up the hasty cliffhanger. The Trespasser DLC not only showed off the scenario-based writing the game had excelled at already, but manages to explore the distant past and immediate future of the series, while setting up potentially the stronger antagonist of any modern BioWare title.
No.
Hey EA, please don't fuck up the next Dragon Age game.
It'd be nice.
I mean, it's EA.
Modern day EA at that. I will throw in and say Dragon Age, the big expansion for the first game. Does anybody remember what that's called?
Oh, no, I don't.
Yeah, I'll find out. Don't worry. But I remember that being like, I like Dragon Age Origins. Like, that's good and fun. Dragon Age Origins Awakening. Man, people need to get their title game on point.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, I find it hilarious that you have two tiers of : Dragon Age : or Origin : Awakening.
Yep. Well, I mean, in this one, it's an M dash, like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, or Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, or Star Wars Dark Forces Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Council, or something like that. Star Wars is especially egregious with that.
Oh no. Yeah, the thing that I've noticed is, while I love more and more Norse mythology in games, it highlights the fact that no one knows how to use a subtitle in a Norse themed game other than Valhalla or Ragnarok.
Yeah, that is a bit of a bummer, that. Oh. Dennis, what does Eli say?
Eli says, I love Dark Souls 2, but even by From standards, those DLCs are by far the best parts of that game. 3 damn near perfect Souls levels.
Oh god, yeah. The fact that like Sunken City is considered to be the Crown of the Sunken King or whatever it is. That's kind of considered like, oh yeah, that's the worst of those. That's still like really good Souls content. God, the Crowns DLC is amazing.
Crown of the Sunken King is the first time that you get the multiplayer invade. Am I remembering that right?
You get multiplayer invade generally. Like there's that you get it. Like, I mean, they're like NPC invasions and then multiplayer invasions.
Or I guess invaded by multiple people at once.
No,
maybe I'm misremembering that then.
It might be that you had played the base game and then went back and replayed Scholar of the First Sin, which allowed more people to invade you. But like I believe you could be invaded by multiple people in the base game. I think it was just more common in the Scholar version. I could be incorrect because
apparently have a very specific scarring where a multi-person invade is the primary thing I remember about the Crown of the Sunken King.
Yeah. Let's see here. That was you, Dennis. So this will be me, I believe. Warren says the first expansion for Final Fantasy XIV, Heavensward, was absolutely incredible and blew the base game content out of the water. They learned what kind of content players wanted and didn't include a lot of cruft that the base game had. It was my favorite Final Fantasy story, and I never thought they'd top it. Then they released the Endwalker expansion, and it was even better. Boy, it'd be nice if we could just start at Heavensward.
Yeah, you probably can if you pay. That's the eternal.
That's the thing. But also,
refrain.
like, Do they teach you the game, or is that just a power upgrade? Blah.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, because I played a good piece of Final Fantasy 14 post Heavensward coming out, and I did the whole I remember getting specific instructions that you can basically like skip all dialogue until you get to a certain quest line, and that's when you start paying attention. I think it was the start of Heavensward.
Oh man. Let's see, David. What does Kian say?
Kian says the DLC for Rise of the Tomb Raider, the second one, had an excellent survival mode where you had to scavenge and hunt and raid in the increasingly frozen wilderness of a Siberian forest. The map was huge, and regular snowstorms made it extremely easy to lose track of where you were. It was a wonderfully tense experience, but unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be much appetite to develop it any further.
I think
that
this
sounds
survival
like...
mode was one of the first like Twitch integrations
really?
where people could vote on what you encountered next.
Oh, huh.
Nice.
Man,
that almost reminds me of the first Division game had a battle royale mode. More or less battle royale, but it was set. The whole game was set during a blizzard, so you had to basically periodically, stay near a source of heat. So like a fire or some running machinery or something like that. And, that was a much more dynamic take on the like closing ring from Fortnite and stuff.
Yeah. It's bizarre to me how omnipresent like conversation about the first Tomb Raider remake. Well, the first of that trilogy was, and then the second two, I didn't hear a single peep about them from anybody.
Yeah, I have to say my favorite part of this post was the fact that they were right, needed to specify that Rise of the Tomb Raider was the second one.
Yeah, the second one, the third one was like the Tomb Raider Shadow or something. For God's sake, get your titles right.
Just put a number. No one will be mad at you.
Yep.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, it was kind of the disturbing violence to less disturbing violence progression was my understanding of like the primary progression of the series between those.
I mean, yeah, it just it didn't catch a lot of attention for rebar piercing. Yeah. Let's see. Dennis, what does Greg say?
Greg says, Old World Blues in Fallout New Vegas is all kinds of degrees awesome. I will always laugh at the line, holding up an array of fully erect hand penises.
Yeah, because the robots don't know how to use hands. So fingers baffle them. Yeah.
Again, I'm seeing a very phallic through line in our DLCs.
Yeah, no. Old World Blues, that had James Urbaniak, at Dr. Venture himself, voiced one of the brain bots in that.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. Phil says, Diablo 3. It started a mediocre campaign with terrible loot progression due to the real money auction house, but with the expansion, it became a great loot game that I still play to this day. Yeah, I heard that. I heard like even some of those initial patches that they made, but it could never outrun the shadow of that initial choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really want it to come out for, I don't know, some sort of Game Pass or something so that I can play it again, but I just don't want to actually give Blizzard money.
Yeah, that's a rough prospect.
Yep.
Yeah. If you check the Slack, I have updated Dottie is now asleep.
Aww.
Just a little lump with Batman symbols on her. Sorry. Earlier I posted a picture. She loves hanging out with me on the desk here when I record, and she's being real hammy. So
I like to imagine that when Dottie decides it's time for one of the streams to be over, that you just get the like Juliana has invaded or whatever.
She has stepped on the keyboard and stopped recording in the past, so I don't put it beyond her. Sorry to distract everybody with that, but I needed people to see her.
No, I support.
David, what does Sam say?
Sam says, BioShock 2. While the main game was an interesting twist on the genre, the story was pretty weak compared to the first game. However, Minerva's Den fixed a lot of issues by giving you a smaller, more personal story that you can finish in a fraction of the time. Also, it's a cyberpunk story using weird steampunk vacuum tube shit.
Yeah. Minerva's Den is good, and it was kind of the prototype for Gone Home, kind of like modern environmental storytelling kind of stuff. Yeah. Let's see here. Dennis, what does Ruki say?
Ruki says, my top 3 choices, BioShock 2, Final Fantasy 14, and Dark Souls 2 are all taken, so I'll have to go with my troll pick, Halo Infinite. Oh, no. The single-player DLC campaign is streets ahead of the base multiplayer-only game.
Stop trying to make Streets Ahead happen, Pierce. Come on. That's a community reference for folks.
I think, if you view the multiplayer as the base game, then yeah, I approve of this.
It's really hard to tell what's DLC in Halo Infinite because everything seems to be modular.
Yeah.
For 6 months, all you had was the title screen, and you liked it.
There was a hard drive article recently of crazy friend trying to convince everyone that the Halo game released recently. It's like, I think if there was a Halo game released 6 months ago, I would still be playing it. My God.
Jeremy writes, the original StarCraft game DLC Brood War changed everything to the base game. Also had an incredible campaign. Yeah, Brood War was a big one. Blizzard knew what they were doing. Yeah. And David, what does Case say?
Case says, Undead Nightmare for the original Red Dead Redemption. That was a DLC/expansion pack that was so good it was a standalone game.
Now, remind me, did that predate the Far Cry Blood Dragon?
I think it did. I was about to say, I think that was the first of the, making a crazy off-season version of the game.
Yeah. I think Far Cry 3 was 2012, which it must have been because we talked about it in the first year of the show. Then Blood Dragon was 2013.
Okay, nice.
Yes.
I'm glad that is a trend that has stuck.
Yeah, no, it's very welcome. I wish so. I was streaming Undead Nightmare for my for Hexcrank, right? This was several years ago, and apparently, I had the PS3 version just because I was playing a lot of PS3 games at the time, and apparently, the retail version just has a bug that nobody has patched out because nobody bought that game standalone on PlayStation 3 apparently, which is occasionally you will roll up on like a settlement, like a village, and the zombies will start appearing. They don't have any heads, and they cannot be permanently killed.
Oh my God.
So you cannot do missions that require you to clear out a whole village. And so cue me trying to clear this one village for 45 minutes and being unable to, why don't they have any heads? They don't have heads when I reload. What's going on? I'll reset. They don't have any heads. Why are they not dying? They don't have any heads. Yeah.
I have to say, I'm glad, Dennis said, that, that sort of approach has survived, much longer than Red Dead Online.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to go with Allison's answer and say Hearts of Stone on The Witcher 3. The only other one that I would probably say, just because people have mentioned a bunch of Fallout stuff, or at least Fallout New Vegas, is the Far Harbor DLC on Fallout 4 is really good. Much more interesting story than the base game. Like a really interesting conflict between the factions involved. Does cooler stuff with synths and such. So I'll just throw in those two mini responses. David, how about you?
Yeah, so I'd say, I don't know if I have any that I'd say are better than the base game, but I'd say there's two that I think are definitively required. The game as an experience doesn't work without them.
Yeah, that counts.
One of them is actually the game we're using as the splash screen, BioShock. I think what BioShock Infinite was going for with their story and the overall theme, I think only really gels once the 2 DLCs wrap things up. The only thing I didn't like about them is I thought the recontextualization of the resistance leader was really weak and kind of undermined some of the story. But other than that, I thought it was amazing.
It was weak on its own. It was weak as a justification, like a response to people who said, "Well, this is just cartoonish." And think about what you are saying when you say that resistance to oppression is just as bad as the initial oppression. Like, that's kind of the message you're sending, Mr. Ken Levine. And they said, well, no, she had secret reasons that were actually good. Don't you feel like a fool?
Right. That's what happens when you are focused more on doing a twist than you are, delivering an actual coherent message.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other one is the Old Hunters for Bloodborne. Just, I know, I cannot imagine playing the game without that expansion, just in terms of kind of fleshing out some of the storyline and stuff like that. Not so much the like fishing village, that to me just kind of seems like a little bit of from overindulging with some of the hard mode stuff, but the actual like clock tower and stuff like that really expands on the stories in ways that I think are a lot of fun.
Yeah, the research tower hospital thing is just chef kiss.
Yep.
Yeah. And Hunter's Nightmare is good too.
Hunter's Nightmare is probably the most interesting environment in the entire game, I think.
Yeah. Best boss fights in the game too. With not Lawrence, the horse guy with the moonlight sword. Yeah. And obviously Maria. Best fight in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think my favorite design though is still Vicar Amelia.
Oh yeah. Vicar Amelia's design is great. Those antlers and stuff. Yeah.
Have I ever posted any of the like dumb meme quote unquote Vicar Amelia cosplays?
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
There's a whole genre of people online just that have kind of lanky, shaggy dogs and would just like put a napkin over their face.
Oh God! Check out my I would buy a Borsoi just for that. Yeah. And yes, that is the kind of dog. That is the long face dog that I'm thinking of. God, that's just so sweet. I'm looking at dogs and they're cool and good. Dennis, how about you? And you cannot say the DLC for XCOM 2.
Then I'll say the DLC for XCOM 1.
God, enemy within. No.
Yes,
you can say whatever you want to. That's
you sniped me. I was thinking of Enemy Within. I found out after playing the game for a while that I was one of the like weird rare minority that did not play Enemy Within out the gate. It's a whole new ball game and definitely not a complete experience without it.
Yeah.
I'm sure I can fish around for other DLCs, but if there's something that works well enough that you can guess it, then it's probably good.
Well, no, I don't want to foreshorten your anything you might have to say about what is XCOM 2, War of the Fallen? Is that what it is?
War of the Chosen.
War of the Chosen. There we go.
No, I legitimately between the two, I would say Enemy Within is the more foundational.
Yeah. And just excellent squad customization stuff in that.
Mm-hmm.
More stuff to do with to turn injuries into opportunities, which I think is OSHA's OSHA's tagline. That makes no sense.
The way you put people in mechs is definitely the definition of turning injury into opportunity.
probably my favorite part of that game.
Yeah. That's in the DLC. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, big response on this one. Thank you to everybody who threw in. Thank you, Dennis, for posting this. If folks would like to participate in the future, go to facebook.com/the level podcast and watch for prompts to go up on Monday afternoons.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. Dennis, fulfill the promise of talking about Metal Hellsinger.
Yeah, Hellsinger. So this is a game that I have not played, but I have downloaded and installed it because of this article. It is a heavy metal rhythm shooter where you do everything kind of in time with the music as you slay demons, Doom style. And the creator just released kind of a set of modding tools, not specific mods, but a set of modding tools that allow players to add any music that they want. And so the example that they gave is Metal Hellsinger with jazz.
That might actually make it harder. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, like the example they give keeps in the same time signature and pacing. And that was going to be my other thought, is like, it's very, very funny to me that they picked jazz, which is like famous for changing times and changing tempo and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a cool thing about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So like that is probably the least suited to a game like this. But the feel of the game is completely changed by the music. And even though it's still like, hell demons that you're shooting at with the shotgun, it just has this like rad spy feel to it. Like I almost want to see a game that is skinned for the music.
Oh yeah. Do it like with just people in suits on a yacht.
Yeah. Yeah, like a Splinter Cell incursion or even like the casino heist, Ocean's 11 style kind of thing. But yeah, so that's my thought, is like, one, this seems really cool that they're making it possible to mod with different music, and then two, I want the mods to go a step forward and also add kind of custom skins for everything. So if someone could just do all that work and give it to me on a silver platter, I would be very appreciative.
The end of the article talks about imagine playing this with just with podcasts, which is very fun. If anybody does that with Duckfeed content, I want to see that video immediatay.
Oh hell yeah!
Trust that we will not copyright strike anything if you post videos of that.
That's excellent. I haven't looked at the modding tools themselves, so I don't know if it's just like you pick a beat and that's it, or if you could actually like sync it up to distinct elements, if the time signature changed or if the pace of conversation changed. Really what we need to do is about 15 minutes now where we all just make random gun sounds so that you have to sync it up.
I don't want to trigger anybody's PTSD.
That is fair.
Because I do a fantastic rifle.
It wasn't that.
Yeah, no. Nobody's told me it was bad, but that's because I've never done it in front of anybody before.
It went so well in my head.
I just assumed it would be amazing.
I saw that one scene from Tarzan all those years ago, and I assumed I could just make a gunshot sound like that.
Yes. I'll do mine. So this is more of an exercise in audacity and possibly a preview of an upcoming grind that I will do. But there is a Mario Maker Super Mario Maker content creator named Metroid Mike 64 who has released what he is calling Super Mario Brothers 5. Saying that this is they've been working on this since 2015, trying to create a world and maps that feel like they could be classic Mario maps, levels, things like that. There are 8 worlds, 40 full courses. There are alternate exits. There's the overworld that Super Mario Maker 2 added. There are puzzle elements to it, and this sounds amazing to me. A, because I want to play it and check, like, that's pretty hubristic of you to say, dude. But also, as much fun as Mario Maker is to play around with, going in and, just checking out user generated content is mostly like little gimmick maps that don't play very well, or challenge maps that are not the kind of way that I want to play Mario.
Yeah.
So the idea of one of these, custom content pack kind of deals that is specifically aiming for, like, this is meant to be playable and fun if you know Mario, is a rare thing that also could be appealing to me.
Yeah, this is super cool.
Yeah. I'm not going to say the code out, but if you just search Super Mario Brothers 5 Maker, you'll probably find the code for that to put in there. So,
and you can also already find playthroughs if you're not going to play it yourself, but want to see someone going through it.
Yeah. I have a minor second one, but this is in addition to an end boss I did a long time ago. So when Nintendo added the ability to create like custom folders, I forget what they call them, but it's like custom groups of games on the Switch. I complained about the fact, about the way that it worked, that there was no way to just kind of make sure that, one game wasn't in multiple, like little folders. It was just kind of like, oh, you pick these, but it doesn't actually effectively like help you organize anything. Something must have changed, because I went back in and played around with the feature again, and they have a way to filter so that you are looking at and seeing only games that are not currently in a group or a folder. So that makes it super easy to, like, as you're making the groups, just say like, okay, I'm going to try and pull all the roguelikes. Now I'm going to pull all the RPGs, and then just, winnow things down as it goes, looking for the uncategorized ones. So that must have been added, and I didn't notice, but it is an update.
It's cool. Yeah. It's one of those things where you can never really hope that it's going to get fixed, just because it's not like a big enough problem to warrant a ton of effort, but always nice when they do.
Yeah. And I do stuff like even on Steam, anything that I've beaten gets taken out of its group or collection or whatever and put into the beaten group, or like, I'm not interested, or I just got this in a bundle, kind of thing. So that I'm not looking at stuff that I have already beaten or have no interest in playing, but somehow got there.
Yeah.
And finally, sorry, David shared one of those memes of Vicar Amelia, and it looks like a golden retriever sleeping under white curtains. That's really good.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah, sleepy animals. Good.
So my article, I've been kind of enjoying just the slow motion train wreck that is Overwatch 2.
Didn't they say that they're taking Overwatch 1 down?
Yeah, it's this is Overwatch your only option now.
Good God.
Yeah. And they, I believe, announced, well, it came out that the new characters, you're going to have to unlock them via Battle Pass, or I believe if you pay, you get it right away. And so people weren't thrilled about that, but they said, don't worry, guys. Like, at the start, there's going to be 35 characters, and 34 of them you just get. But now they're like, well, actually, what we meant is 34 of them you get if you're a returning Overwatch 1 player. If you're not, it'll take you about 100 matches to unlock all of the base characters.
And even if you want to buy all the base characters, or if you want to get the original game so that you get kind of grandfathered in, they've pulled it down.
Yep. They've also announced that if you want to create an account, you have to attach your real phone number to it. And surely that information will not be abused in any way.
Yeah. No.
I think this game releases next week?
It's pretty soon, October the 4th.
Yeah. So I think this goes up before it goes out. Like, I'm not going to tell you how to have fun, but I would love to see this game fail spectacularly as a lesson. I mean, to Blizzard and anyone else who wants to do shenanigans like this.
If you asked me if you send modern day internet back to like 2017 or 2016, first thing I would do is say like, oh my god, it gets so much worse, you guys.
Yeah.
Second thing is like, I never would have believed, or nobody would believe, that the sequel to Overwatch would be this much nothing. That like apparently nobody would be excited about it. Just like, I'm not hanging around in Overwatch fan spaces or what have you, but like I'm not seeing like people anticipating this at all.
So I think someone quoted, I think they were quoting someone else, but on a Discord I'm on, that the way Overwatch has lost its relevancy is when they announce the 35th character, the new character that's going to be there in release. There wasn't porn of them 15 minutes later.
Man, Blizzard really fucked up.
Yeah, yep. I really feel like they need to just make the game a story-based shooter, or better yet, just an animated TV show. And like, that's clearly what they want. I think that's what the fans actually want.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, I don't know that there's ever been enough meat on the bones to do that. Like, Overwatch has thrived on the promise that it could do that, but I have lost all faith that they would actually be able to.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, no, it's it sucks. Dump it.
Like, and again, I don't want to tell people how to have fun.
It's just amazing the degree to which like corporate whatever has gutted Blizzard.
Yeah,
Activision
maybe has gutted Blizzard.
Well, yeah, it's just Chinese government has gutted Blizzard.
I think wasn't that the one where when Activision acquired them, the CEO literally said, quote, "We're going to exploit these games for all they're worth."
Something, yeah, that sounds familiar. Blah. Well, at least I don't have to pay attention to this anymore. That's good. Good God. Cool. So that sounds like a show to me. How do you all feel about buttoning up?
Buttons!
The credits.
Thank you so much for listening to Level 430. We appreciate you coming here and taking the time. The call to action that I would give outside of the usual stuff is to reiterate that Best Quality Vacuum is out. We think it is good. Episode 0 is there, and episode 1 is coming as we get ready to talk about the pilot and kind of break into the series proper. I just got the email that it was added to Google Podcasts. So if you listen on Google Podcasts, consider listening there and leaving ratings and reviews there at Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's all a place where you can do that, and it does help. And then there's the usual stuff for this show, liking us on Facebook, subscribing, rating and reviews, Patreon, telling friends, coming back next week. It's all good stuff. Dennis, anything with the games?
Nothing too crazy. I will be at Sin City Con on October, what is that, 22nd? I should probably know what day it is. October 8th. There we go. It was earlier than I thought. Yeah. So I will be at Sin City Con here in Cincinnati on October 8th. So come hang out if you are going to be there.
Nice. Cool. Well, I've been Kole Ross. You can find me on Twitter at Kole Ross. That's KOLEROSS.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me at Sin City Con, demoing Deck of Wonders.
I've been David Mysmith. You can find me hibernating through the winter.
Nice. And in absentia, Ben was here as well. And stick around for some titles.
But you can't find him anymore.
All right. So Ben's titles were Possibly and Triple A-ness. I don't know if that made it in when I edited, but those were there. I had Jupiter Awareness, and I also had Triple A-ness. So
I had Gotta Know How Far to G and For the Love of the Bone.
Oh man, we are title rich this week.
yeah, we are.
I have five. I'll throw them all out there. But I think I know the winner. So I've got, and then there was player one. I've got
That's pretty good.
Beaver Punk.
You hated it when he did that earlier, David.
I've got Wamplitude. And then Dute Diligence.
Yeah.
Wampertude?
Wamplitude, like amplitude with womps.
Okay, Wamplitude.
And then finally Triple A-ness, which man, it's hard to beat.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to beat Triple A-ness. There's nothing inherently filthy about A-ness. So,
I mean, I feel like you could just do AAANESS and leave it to people to decide what's going on.
well,
I styled it with writing out triple and then A-ness.
Okay. Oh man, I mean, I think that it needs to be Triple A-ness, like the body part, because that was the funny thing that Ben said. Yeah.
But if you rob them of the joy of looking at the title and being like, oh, what's that about? And then realizing when it's said what the dealio is. Either way is fine.
I mean, surprise anus is the best anus.
Oh no.
Oh no. I'll roll it over my head, and it'll be a surprise to everybody.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, also as a side note, the quote by the CEO of Activision was, "And you can expect virtually every one of these properties will be exploited on an annual or close to annual basis."
Oh no.
God. Yeah. No. Think about what that would sound like if you didn't say it to monsters and then don't say it.
Mm-hmm.
God. Well, it is decided.